In the last few months, I've come to the conclusion of what I can best describe as an epiphany. You see, I'm a creative and I've been a creative for a very long time, and the best description I can find of a creative comes from the freedictionary.com. Noun, creative person, a person whose creative work shows sensitivity and imagination. Over the last few months, I've been in deep thought about something, and it's about the work that myself and others do. And through that deep form of thought, I've come to the realization that every single piece of work, art, fiction, song, painting, drawing, video game, article of clothing, invention, everything we watch, listen to, or use on a daily basis was created by someone. Now obviously this is a very obvious statement, and I did know this before creating this video, so let me just premise it with that. But I just want to dissect my little epiphany here in this very obvious statement. Many of you have an iPhone or an Android or a PC or a laptop. However, if we go back just 15 years, those stuff were very basic and extremely expensive. You probably would have had to be in your 20s or 30s with a good bit of cash in your pocket in order to be able to afford one. Now I've seen 3-year-olds using this technology today, which I don't necessarily agree with, but the point still remains that they're still fairly inexpensive today and very freely accessible. My point is, parts of our daily life today at one point were completely impossible. And we take that stuff for granted. Very much so. Because at one point, all it was a thought in someone's head. At one point, these thoughts in these creative people's minds would have considered them insane. I mean, just take the airplane for example, or the car, the steam engine, hell, even the internet. We would never have been able to think up these ideas until the predecessors were created and merged together. Why was that so difficult to say? My point is, all of those things were insane to think of as a possible reality. So over the last couple of months, I've been taking my time and really thinking about this and the work that myself, some of my friends and close associates and what they do. And I've come to the very simple yet profound realization that we create from nothing. We get an idea and we build it. We don't choose where that idea comes from. We don't choose how that idea comes to us, or what idea comes to us in the first place. We just get a glimpse of that idea. We form it and we mold it and then we bring it to life. Like for example, this video. It's scripted and then I have to record it. I have to edit it together using software that someone else created, or the equipment that someone else created, like the microphone and the camera and the lighting and the computers. Everything comes together because someone else has created something in order to bring it together. And then of course it falls on me as the creative person to bring all of these things together to create this. And then of course there's the wonderful thing called the internet, where I can bring it to you. Now, maybe I'm just overthinking this, and I often overthink a lot of things. But I can't help but having this nagging question in my head of what's next. What I will create next, let alone what anyone else might create next. You see, our favorite stories, movies, films, video games, sports, technology, everything at one point was a thought in someone's head. I mean, if you think about it, we have AI, we have the power of instant communication with anyone around the world. We have advanced agriculture, we have a global literacy rate of 86.3%. The ability to travel the world in less than a day. We are in the most advanced stage of human history. And while yes, we do have a lot of progress still to do, this is by far the best time in existence for humans to be alive. In other words, ooh, camera shake, whoops. I shouldn't be touching this table. In other words, creatives have more of a chance to create than ever before. The nagging question also has another part to it. What things have people not created, and how has that affected the world, even in the slightest way? I mean, right now we have access to the world's most advanced information sharing platform in existence at the touch of our fingertips. If the EU doesn't mess that up for most of us though, we can learn about basically anything and basically try anything that we want, and if we simply take the time to sit down, learn and practice it and put it into practice. And once we have the information, we can get special funding from different communities, from the entirety of the internet, the world, special organizations, governments for that matter, anything in general. We have the ability to get resources to create those ideas and breathe life into our ideas. So getting back off the tangent that I usually do once in a video, here's why this all amazes me so much. Here's why my little epiphany of sorts is such an amazing concept to me. Almost every single day I interact with someone who creates videos, art, audio, music, film, basically anything in a creative form, both physically and digitally for that matter. And I realize that it's very possible for any one of them to create something that takes the world by storm. The creations they breathe into life could very well be the thing that creates life into their career, that breathes life into their career, or quite possibly change the culture or society that we live in. At the very same time, it could also be some of the stuff that inspires other people to create the very fabric of our society or our culture or just everything in general. It's like the snowball effect. So I got to thinking, what happens if I focus on my creative arts? What happens if I focus on the things that I create? What happens then? Like say for these videos that I'm creating on various topics or just the things that interest me and that I have fun creating. I've had a lot of positive feedback already from the stuff that I'm creating, and already it has had some of the best reactions of most of the stuff I've ever created. It is entirely very, very possible for one of my future videos to garnish enough attention to jumpstart my career in being a creative artist of sorts. Or at the very least, it could inspire someone else in order to jumpstart their career and do something absolutely extraordinary. The very possibility that we get these ideas and we create them from nothing could have a very real world impact that I don't think a lot of people actually take the time to actually consider, because it is a huge thing. I do notice that whenever I start doing things, people around me start copying me. Maybe it's a form of flattery, or maybe they just get the interest themselves, but at the same time, there is a real aspect of just the snowball effect. But it's more than that. It's the fact that I've taken the idea, scripted it out, created a video, published it on the internet, and somehow people resonate with those ideas that I've been creating. Which, to be fair, is completely confusing to me, but at the same time, I'm okay with it. For some reason, people seem to like my insight on things. From the very simple things such as this, to basically anything in general, which is very interesting and strange to me, but at the same time, I do feel it's very, very important to delve deep and reflect on even such the simplest things of realizing that creative people create from nothing. They take a blank slate and they create it into something that's either useful, fun to look at, fun to listen to, or makes them reflect. And some of the best creative people that I can ever think of that have melded quite a lot of these things together is fairy tales and stories and comedians and filmmakers and artists and writers. The very fabric of what connects people in society, whether it's a story or a joke or music, culture, etc. It's all created over time through a multitude of sources. But over time, those things meld together and they create something that the original creative didn't intend for. And I think that's basically what I'm trying to get across to you. We have no idea how the stuff that we take from our brains and put to writing or put to video or audio, whatever it is, we have no idea how that might impact someone. And even just the simple fact of going back and looking from the creative process can help potentially jumpstart your career or help someone else's career. It's a very interesting thing to look back and reflect on, and that's something that I've been thinking over a lot over the last couple months. But to me, it's also more than that. It's the fact that such a simple concept can bring such a deep dive of exploration and thought from such a simple, almost meaningless concept, which is an extraordinary thought for me personally anyway, because it brings such a deep insight to almost anything and everything. Although, to be fair, I will agree that quite a few things probably shouldn't have been created. And a lot of you probably know what those things are. For some reason, I felt the need to create this video. When an idea pops into my head that impacts me in a way that I view things, I tend to want to share that idea with other people, in the hopes that it helps someone, or maybe I'm not the only one thinking this and feeling that I'm insane. Could be the latter. It's very possible. Sometimes I'm not the best at describing things, and these kind of things, to be fair, don't really interest a whole lot of people unless it's been provided in a way that really excites them, encourages them, or just intrigues them. So I'm hoping that it's something that intrigues you. And hopefully as well, I've described it in such a way that makes sense and I don't look like a loony just speaking to a camera. Hopefully. And for the life of me, I can't figure out what this word is. There are so many random feelings in the world, but I can't seem to figure out what the understanding or the realization that certain things were created from nothing, or, you know, such a big thing that impacts your life, the realization that it wasn't there before. Because a lot of people take that for granted, I think. Why is my throat choking? I can't for the life of me figure out what the word is called. So if you know what the word is, please tell me. I've been trying to find out the word, and all I've come up with on the search results are things on anxiety. I'm not quite sure how that works, but okay. So hopefully I've described this relatively well. If not, my apologies, and you've just listened to me rant for about 10-15 minutes. That's okay too. I don't mind. It's nice to have you around. As for now, I'm going to leave it here. All the best. Bye.